One. All right, Gary. So after having coached and worked with literally hundreds of entrepreneurs, what would you say are the characteristics that distinguish those entrepreneurs that thrive and those who seemingly always struggle to just survive or get by?
Well, Wayne, that's a very interesting question because in my 15 years of doing this work, what I have found is the entrepreneurs that are willing to change, willing to commit to lifetime learning, and willing to pivot when their product market fit is not working and the market is not ready for that product or service that they have right now.
No, those are all great answers. And what I'd like to do is dive into each of those. But first, let me introduce you to everybody out there watching. So today we have Gary Perkins with us. Gary is the director of the Entrepreneurship Initiative at CLEDA. So CLEDA works all throughout Central Louisiana on economic development is what they work towards. And Gary's role is for the entrepreneurs, helping those already in existence, already with businesses, as well as helping those with ideas, turn those ideas into actual businesses. So Gary, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to be with us.
You're welcome, Wayne.
So let's talk about some of those characteristics that you just mentioned. So let's start with one that's kind of, on the forefront of everyone's minds right now, and that is as the market has changed. So we're kind of still in the midst of COVID-19. For so many businesses out there, over the last 3-4 months, marketplaces have completely eroded, completely changed, adapted. How does that characteristic, the willingness to watch the marketplace and adapt, how have you seen that play out in some of your clients over these last few months?
Well, it's always been incredibly important, and it is now, just essential. And, the media always touts that entrepreneurs are huge risk takers and gamblers. And we don't believe that in our entrepreneurship program. We believe that entrepreneurs are detectives. So if I'm out there doing the work and trying to always be testing and interacting with my marketplace to see what products and services that they need that fits into my business that I can change to or pivot to. And we talk about pivoting as such an important word for our entrepreneurs is I have to be willing to pivot when the marketplace changes. And so in the last 4 or 5 months, we have seen a dramatic difference in our entrepreneurs who saw COVID-19 as this opportunity to pivot into something else that their customers needed, and the ones that said, woe is me, there's nothing we can do. And both of those groups were right. The ones that thought they could pivot and find out a new product were right. And the ones that said it was over, they were right also.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the example that's used quite often. It's from one of the largest companies in the world at the time, Kodak. So Kodak had these research technology people doing all this research on kind of where the market was going. They invented, from what I understand, they invented the digital camera, but just simply were so in love with film and in love with their baby, their product, that they could not accept the fact that the world was changing and technology was changing. And so Kodak, as we once knew it, no longer exists. And, like you said, entrepreneurs, we are able to mitigate a lot of risk. We are able to make wise decisions based on what's taking place in the marketplace, but that is only true if we're paying attention to what's going on. And one of the other things you mentioned was the willingness to change and adapt. So when you think of your entrepreneurs, and you mentioned that characteristic of their ability to change and adapt, how do you see that play out? Like, what does that look like for your entrepreneurs?
Well, the Kodak is an incredible example from being one of the most profitable businesses in the world to almost not existent. And so our entrepreneurs, along with this willingness to change, there's also that lifetime learning. So I have to always be reading and studying, and I need to know as much about my competitors as I know about myself. I need to know about the marketplace and what the trends are, and I need to be involved with any industry groups that my business or our businesses fall into. And just being committed to that lifetime learning and willingness to change, and willing to test ideas. And I'm testing this idea and willing to actually pivot to it. You can imagine what would have happened if Kodak had pivoted to digital storage right away when nobody knew what that was, where they would be today.
Yeah, there's no telling. And one of the things I picked up from you over our years is kind of that mentality of always be willing to throw out the baby. So, as an entrepreneur, we love our ideas so much that, we fall in love with these ideas. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I mean, our love for the idea is great to get us going, but the marketplace's love is what's required to keep us in business. If they don't love what it is that we're offering, or, there's not a need or a want for it, doesn't matter how much we love it, it's not going to be useful.
For just 40 years, we were fed this idea that entrepreneurs needed to have a business plan to be successful. And, we know that is not true, that entrepreneurs starting and growing a business need to be working on their product market fit. And sure, they need to have a plan for what they're doing, but they need to be flexible because they're growing their business. And one of the wonderful examples I came across in the last month was this entrepreneur explained it this way. What if the dog doesn't eat the food? He said, what if you've got this incredible business plan on how you're going to produce this dog food, how you're going to distribute this dog food, how you're going to market this, and you've got the perfect colors and the perfect placement of all your ads, but the dog doesn't eat the food. And if you're not willing to change, that is a guaranteed recipe for disaster following that flawed business plan. So if we're not testing our marketplace all the time, we're going to get in severe trouble that we are going to have a hard time digging ourselves out of.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And I'm sure I can think of a handful of examples myself of people who love their idea so much that the business no longer exists, but they're still in love with that idea, trying to make that idea work. Yep. Which kind of leads into another thing I want to just briefly talk about, and that is financials. So when you actually develop a product, a service, something that goes into the marketplace and the marketplace receives it meets the need of the marketplace. You generate sales, you generate revenue. And what would you say, after working with all these entrepreneurs, when it comes to their financials, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs making with regard to their financials?
It seems like when someone tells me I have a CPA, that means I haven't spent the time to understand what these financials are telling me. And so, having, these myths and continuing to accept these myths about the bottom line. And so you get your financials and you open it up and you look to see if you made a profit. And that's the only measure you have in your whole business. It's really hard to make changes and adjust your business if you are not training and teaching yourself what are these financials telling us. And I make all these decisions, all month long. I need to find out what the result of those were. So if I'm not tracking my cost of goods and my labor cost and my gross profit margin, and then those are wonderful things. But if I don't take the time to learn what the balance sheet is telling me, and I don't, I'm making a profit, but my accounts receivable are so high that I can't pay my bills, what good did it do for me to make a profit? So being able to understand and be willing to learn what those financials are telling you, not just getting a CPA to produce some financials and handing them to you and you say, oh, we made a profit, everything's wonderful.
Yeah. So where would you, I know y'all offer some courses and some classes specifically in that area, but are there other resources or tools that you would recommend, or maybe even if someone, has some basic knowledge of their financials, what are some things they should start looking at? I know you mentioned balance sheet, you mentioned kind of accounts receivable and cash flow statement, things like that. What are some, I guess, resources and or some things that entrepreneurs should start looking at to help make those decisions?
Well, there are lots of resources on the internet, most of which are hard to decipher if you don't have any background. But we have a wonderful resource, LSUA. You can take basic accounting online. You can join our BAS program, and we work on those issues. You can attend seminars that are online that are for free, and there's lots of resources out there if you're looking.
Yeah, and that ties all the way back into the very, very beginning, kind of those characteristics between those who thrive and those who struggle to survive is that self-education or that willingness to learn. And it ties in also to willingness to pivot based on what you're learning. So
Right.
you're no longer making just decisions based on, is there anything left, on the P&L statement, is there any profit left? Instead, making decisions off of other things on those financial documents as well.
And, we encourage everyone to read business, very specific things about their industry, read books and talk to your friends that are in similar businesses, and what are they reading and what are they studying and what's talking to them. Having that network of people that can help you.
Yeah, and that ties in to kind of the next question, which is, after working with such a big group of entrepreneurs over these years, what is the importance, or why is it important, I guess, for an entrepreneur, for a business owner to have either a coach, a peer group, some form of outside perspective? Why is that so important today?
It's we had a great speaker 5 or 6 years ago, Les Brown, come and speak to us, and we had a great turnout. And he said something that was incredibly profound. All success is learned behavior, and they don't teach entrepreneurship in high school or college. And if you don't have a network of people that you can believe in and trust in to help you, what are they learning? Help me learn this, or giving me, what are the tools you're looking for? Just having that network of trusted people. We get, we look at our businesses so much that we become kind of cross-eyed, because we're seeing what we want to see. And so, having others that you're willing to share this information with, and struggles that you're having, because entrepreneurship is solving problems, and we're all struggling. No matter how successful we are, we're all struggling to solve problems.
Yeah, as our mutual friend Ari Weinswig says, the bigger your organization gets, the better problems you get. The problems don't go away. You just get quote unquote better problems
and bigger problems
and bigger problems to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a quote, and I don't know who to attribute it to, but I remember the saying, "Success leaves clues." And what I've found myself being an entrepreneur and being someone who's admittedly very stubborn is that when I actually look at what successful entrepreneurs are doing, instead of immediately saying, no, my way's better, my way's different, my way's going to work, I've had to learn this the hard way, that if I just follow what they're doing, those clues that are being left behind, that things get so much easier for me and for my business by looking for those clues and implementing those clues into my business. As we kind of wrap up, are there any closing thoughts, anything you want to kind of leave everyone watching with?
One of my favorite quotes: life gets easier for those that do the hard work.
That is a good one for sure. So Gary, where can people go to learn more about you and the BAS program, which for those who don't know stands for the Business Acceleration System? Where can they go to find out more about what you're up to?
Well, they can go to our website at CLEDA.org. They can go to our Facebook page, BAS, our Business Acceleration System. But the easiest thing is just to call my cell phone and let's have a conversation of where do you want to go with this business, and where are you, where do you want to go, and how can we help you achieve those goals. And so my number is 318-880-6332.
And for those who aren't familiar with the program, let's just give them a brief overview. So number one, I kind of mentioned earlier, it's for literally entrepreneurs who at this point just have an idea, all the way up. You have different programs for those doing multiple millions of dollars a year in sales. And the cost of the program is what? Any of those programs, what's the cost for people?
So our program is free to the entrepreneur. It has been funded by the Rapides Foundation for the past 15 years. And we work in 4 basic areas. We work in financial management and planning and marketing and HR, the human resources, and operations. And, we believe that we can help our entrepreneurs where they are now. We help them no matter what skill level they are. If they've just gotten started, if they've been at it for 5 or 10 years, or if they're growing from $2 million to $10 million, each group of those entrepreneurs have different skill levels. So we work with the entrepreneurs where they are now and help them get to where they want to be.
Yeah, that's great. And I know y'all have a long list of references and testimonials from people who've been in your program and the success that they've seen as a result of it. So we'll link to your phone number. We'll also link to the website and, any information that they're looking for. So Gary, thanks so much for taking time to share today. And I know it was beneficial for me. So hopefully it's beneficial for those watching out there on Facebook.
Thanks for thinking of me, Wayne.
You bet. Talk to you soon.
All right.